Welcome back, soccer fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Box Score. It's fall camp, and the worst news that can come out of fall camp is somebody got injured. And boy, let's talk about it tonight. Nathan Hurst, how you doing?
Well, I was excited that we're only 2 weeks away, T-minus exactly 2 weeks until, 2 weeks in a day for us. We're recording here on Wednesday. Till the season starts, and then we get dropped a bombshell of bad news. We'd managed to make it quite a while without any real bad news, and that wasn't the case anymore. So
It was bound to happen. You can't get through a season without injuries. You just like for those injuries to happen during the season instead of beforehand. But here we are. As reported today, I saw Power Mizzou. I saw Eli Hoff. I saw a bunch of people reporting on it. I didn't remember who got it first. Kudos to whoever it did. But during a one-on-one tackling drill, Darris Smith, the blue chip Georgia transfer, slotted in as a defensive end, as an edge rusher, knee injury, tore his ACL, out for the year. Just like that. Now, there's no good time to get an injury, but I think the most poetically cruel time is right before, 2 weeks before your first game during camp. That's probably the worst. On top of the fact that Mr. Smith, bided his time at Georgia for 2 years, transferred to a school where he was thinking he could see the field, essentially was doing everything right that he was projected to see the field, and now this happens. So condolences to Darris and his family. Hurst, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge bummer for a guy, just like you said, that has really battled for this, is going into his third year, and finally gets to a point where he, if not is going to be a starter, certainly would have been a significant contributor on a team this year. And this close to the season, just like that, knees are made of our knees are made of tissue paper and chewing gum, and unfortunately he was the victim of that. That's unfortunately how the cookie crumbles. Silver linings, though, if there's any position on the defense that can afford to lose a guy, it probably is that one. Especially here we are. Yes, we're only 2 weeks out from the season, but we are still 2 weeks out from the season starting. So whatever game plans and ideas and thoughts the coaching staff had for defensive rotations, they've still got some time to figure out what they're going to do, right? This isn't in the middle, an injury that happened at halftime of the Texas A&M game, where they've got to scramble to figure out how they're going to fill snaps. So they've got a couple weeks till the season starts. They've really got 4 weeks of relatively light scheduling to figure out and plug in different guys and see who's going to fill in that hole. Because it was pretty obvious that Darris was going to be a big part of the defense, one way or another. So, is that going to be an Eddie Kelly that really takes the majority of those snaps? He's got some experience. Is it going to be Williams Nwaneri? Is it going to be probably a combination of the two, along with Joe Moore, perhaps?
Well, I mean, I think you could go even further than that. I mean, losing one guy sucks, and Brian Early's got his work cut out for him. But this is not a position group that is a lack of people or a lack of talent. They have all of it. You do have Johnny Walker, like you said. You have Joe Moore, who's been on the team in his second year. You brought in Zion Young to really be kind of the starter, I would say more of stopping the run kind of edge player. But you have Ja'Kai Lane in his second year. You have Williams Nwaneri, who you only have him for 3 years. He was going to be on the field. He's going to factor in some point. You have Elias Williams, who continues to impress. You have Jalen Brown, who's a freshman. But you brought in Eddie Kelly for this exact reason. Some experienced depth piece in case someone goes down to plug him in and do the work. So, I mean, it sucks, especially for a guy who was slated to make an impact. But Hurst, I mean, isn't this just next man up, Eddie Kelly? Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely next man up. Now, is it going to be one guy that can fill whatever role that Darris is going to fill? Probably not. I think they were planning on having a rotation of at least 4 or 5 guys already. So maybe that gets cut from 5 guys with lots of playing time down to 4. But that that's in a good spot. If you have 4 solid, dependable guys that you can plug in there and not feel like you're losing a whole lot, I think you're gonna take that. So it could be a position group that has a little less depth in it. So I mean, that's a silver lining, but it's still a huge bummer for a guy that has all the athletic tools to be a star. He really does.
Right.
There are people saying during the spring practices that Darris Smith was the fastest guy on the team. Not Marquise Johnson. Darris Smith, a defensive end, was winning wind sprinting drills, which is outrageous to think about. But that's the kind of athlete this guy is. So, hope he gets right, gets good for next year, and can show us, what he can do then. But it's next man up. It's figure out and adapt and move forward.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay Darris Smith because I heard the same stories you did. There's so much chatter around this guy. Clearly, we thought that something could come of this to help us deal with this, to help us cope. Let's talk about it in those terms. Again, nothing to disrespect Darris Smith, but let's talk about it in a coping situation. Number one, how many players has the Eli Drinkwitz staff talked about in spring and fall, and we just never hear a peep about them? Plenty. And not even a people, when they get on the field, they're not half as good as they get talked about. It happens. Okay. Now there's a few that stand out that were actually good. Tristan Newsom from last year is one that comes to mind, but for the majority of the time, you get your Kiki Chisholm, right? The guy that the staff is really upset that you're not asking about, and then goes on and does basically nothing. Okay. So that is part of it too. Number two is this is a guy who would have been seeing significant snaps this year. He was at Georgia for 2 years. We know that. He was in one game on special teams in 2022. He played a snap, and then he was in 30 snaps over 3 games at Georgia. I am sure that Georgia staff thought he was great too. He was behind a bunch of other dudes that were impressed, but he could not get on the field there because he couldn't get it. Now, was he getting it here? We don't know. All signs point to yes, but we don't know. There's a good chance that it was not going to work out, and he is just kind of one of those athletic freaks that they talk about that can't put it together. We don't know. Can't mean that he doesn't, but it doesn't mean he was going to be an impact player now. And then thirdly, you have Williams Nwaneri, you have Elias Williams, you have Eddie Kelly, you have Ja'Kai Lane, who I've been excited for 2 years now. This is the second year. Maybe this is his chance. I'm not saying Darris Smith is going to get Wally pipped, but it does open the door for a younger guy who is kind of maybe, the guys who might be I might be transferring because I can't see the field. It might give them a chance to show what they have. And either Mizzou realizes what they have and holds on to it, or, it puts something on tape and they can go do something else somewhere else. So, I mean, it sucks all around, but we also don't know what this is going to be. This is not losing Luther Burden. This is not losing Brady Cook. We are losing an undetermined high potential, and we don't know what that looks like. Wish we could. It's not going to be this year, but I think for now we will be okay.
Yeah, I think the defense will be okay. This is not a death knell. Oh, there's no way we're going to get any sacks this year type of loss. There's a reason you build depth across your roster, and it's for this exact reason. Is because these things is going to happen. He unfortunately is not the only player that's going to get hurt this year on the roster. So that's the importance of bringing in, building up depth, not only through the transfer portal, but developing the young guys that you have coming up as well. So yeah, you're absolutely right that this is going to give someone else a shot, or a couple other guys a shot that may not have seen the field very much this year. They're at worst going to get experience, and at best they're going to shine and show that that they belong on the stage themselves. So yeah, it sucks for everybody, sucks for the team, sucks for him, but I think we'll be all right.
I think, and you have a great point. Do you trust Eli Drinkwitz to have built substantial amount of depth to handle a loss like this? Because when Missouri teams have been great, they have been great at the top and a little rickety underneath, and they could not afford that loss. I'm thinking 2007, 2008, they could not afford those losses. Super elite at the starters, not as good behind that. If you trust Eli Drinkwitz and this staff to be recruiting enough depth where they certainly seem confident to have it, I think we should be okay. Yeah, this is why you do it. The other question you can ask is, how do you replicate the pass rushing in the aggregate? Because the big issue from last year into this year is that all your pass rushers were gone. 3 of the top 8 returned. The best one was Johnny Walker. We know that. But Darius Robinson, second best, gone. Jaden Jernigan, gone. Realis George, gone. Josh Landry, gone. Niles Gaddy, gone. Teron Hopper, gone. You're left with Christian Williams, Johnny Walker, and Joe Moore, who were great, but did not rush the passer as much. So what do we have? What else do we have? What other proven pieces that we have? And that's why they brought in all these edge rushers, because we did not have them. That's what Darris Smith was supposed to be. However, look at a Chuck Hicks. I know he's not great in a run fit. I understand that. I understand he overshoots sometimes. I get that. But at the same time, Chuck Hicks had a 10.4% pressure rate when he did rush. That is good. If you're thinking about a median of college football, it's about 7-8%, depending on the year. He was at 10. So that is an effective pass rusher, creating actual pressure, moving the quarterback in the pocket 10% of the time. That is good. Okay, 5 times in his 48 passes, he was the first pass rusher there, which is great. Time to get to the quarterback, 2 seconds. That is elite. So that's a guy who might be a little bit more active in pass rushing if you don't have a Darris Smith. Who else can you look at?
I would for regarding Chuck Hicks, I would attribute a lot of that to the Blake Baker play calls where he dialed up the right blitz at the right time, the right gap opened up. That's not to say that Corey Batoon can't do the same thing and utilize him in the same way. But I wouldn't necessarily call Chuck Hicks an elite pass rusher in terms of the ability to shed a block and get upfield, right?
Yeah,
but he has the tools. He has the tools.
And I'm not. Boy, I don't want anyone to think Chuck Hicks elite pass rusher. Well, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for good. We're looking for options. Do we have anything good that can be sent sporadically, not every single time, but just to make it up? The other guy, let's not forget him, Dalen Carnell, our favorite safety. He gets sacked 7% of the time that he rushes. That is also very good. He creates pressure on 40% of his pass rushes, which is insanity. That boy gets home. He moves the quarterback. It takes him about 2.3 seconds to get to the quarterback, and he is absolutely on fire on third downs. That is when he gets sent. Over a third of his pressures came on third down. That's where he's going to come from. So, no, you don't have a Darris Smith right now, but we've got a guy who's got experience rushing the passer on third down from a unique position. We can do that. I mean, outside of Chuck Hicks and Dalen Carnell from your starters, that's really all I've got. Is there anybody else you can think of who would be like, hey, maybe this guy is going to be situationally more of a pass rusher now?
I mean, I think a guy that we can look at that they brought on is Corey Flagg. He has 5.5 sacks in his career. Now, he's played a lot of games, so that's a little more than a sack a season. But that the reason that Blake Baker went out and got him as a guy that he coached or he recruited at Miami is he's the type of player that can do that. And I think probably even in an even better role for getting into the backfield than Chuck Hicks. And so I would look for him to perhaps see the field even more now than he might have otherwise. And maybe even maybe they don't put he's not going to put his hand down in the dirt, but maybe put him in maybe a wide 9 technique and have him rush the passer more. He's certainly smaller. If a tackle gets his hands on him, he's not going to be able to break it, but he might be fast enough to get around the edge. So that's not really something he has done lined up on the line before that I've seen anyway, but he's got the experience of getting to the passer. He's got the bona fides that he's gotten, 5.5 sacks. He's got a couple dozen tackles for loss. So, I mean, he can get in the backfield and cause havoc.
Yeah.
And he'll primarily be playing off the ball, but he's somebody you can throw around.
That's okay. I mean, I watched his tape when he transferred. It wasn't this past year. Don't look at that. Look at 2 years ago. So look at 2022. That dude lined up everywhere. He was a linebacker. He was an outside linebacker, off-ball linebacker, but he lined up hand in the dirt. What did I have written down? It's like 18, 19 times. And he didn't play as much. He was definitely rotational in Miami. He lined up as a safety. He lined up in the slot, and he lined up as just like your typical outside linebacker. So he's got the versatility, and he likes to get the quarterback. That is what he likes to do. I think part of the reason why he left was he was getting asked to play a little bit more pass coverage, get on, crowd the line and then kind of drop back to let other guys do that, which Miami has a tremendous defensive line. You don't need Corey Flagg to do that. But yeah, to your point, you're right. You're right. I think you could see a situation in which you go, well, look, we got a Chuck Hicks and a Tristan Newsom. We got to get them on the field, but we also got a Corey Flagg. How do we work him in? Shorter, lighter, Darris Smith. This is your last year. Go be a pass rusher. Maybe do some curls between now and then, but let's get you in there. I like that. I think that could also be a good option. The other one that I would say, and you really didn't see it during the year, but you did see it at Ohio State, Sidney Williams. Remember that guy? Last time you saw him, his ass was on fire chasing down Ohio State quarterbacks, and they just sent him as a heat-seeking missile. I don't know what his long-term role is other than backup, but if you want another situational missile like a Dalen Carnell, it's a little bit more one-trick pony. I liked what I saw with Sidney Williams in the Cotton Bowl. Is that a guy who can replicate it for a season?
Yeah, I mean, he could be. He also played quite a bit, kind of almost as a box safety against Arkansas too, and had a lot of tackles. I don't think he had any sacks that game, but the last couple of games of the season started to get him in there, and he was playing along close to the line of scrimmage, which his size wouldn't necessarily make you think that would be a fit for him, but that's where they were putting him, and he was having good effect there. So he could be a shot. Marvin Burks has a couple safeties on his, or sacks, excuse me, on his record as well. Though they may be asking him to play deeper this year. But they've got plenty of guys that you can shoot out of a cannon, and okay, your turn, just kind of rotate them in there, keep them all fresh and running at full speed.
Yeah.
So they could definitely make up the. I don't want to guess at how many sacks Darris Smith would have gotten. Let's throw out a number. I think a good season for him would have been 5 sacks this year. They could find 5 sacks, in the 400 snaps he would have eaten. I think they could piece those together.
Yeah, absolutely. And for reference, Corey Flagg had a pressure rate of 11%. So again, very good. Especially for a guy who just did not play as much, was not sent as much. That's good. The other guy I can think of, just kind of, off the top of our head, let's not forget Khalil Jacobs, the guy who's actually been in a Corey Batoon system. He got a sack on 6% of his pass rushes. Again, that is good. He got a pressure on a quarterback 27% of the time, 27.5. And 15% of his pass rushes came on third down. So, that's another good option too. You got such deep linebackers kind of out of nowhere. If any of them want to run around on the side and create havoc, I mean, that's kind of seems like why you brought them in. And certainly this is their chance to shine. So the TLDR sucks for Darris, sucks for this team. There are options. Other guys got to step up. And if we are to trust this staff, they have the depth to handle it. So good luck, Darris. Hopefully the surgery and the training staff and all the recovery goes well. And we'll see you in 2025 this time next year. So let's get to the team that we do have. Interesting notes coming out from camp. Because again, we are in August, so everything's going to be camp based here. So I hope you like talking about this sort of stuff. Let's talk about running backs real quick. Really interesting development. Number one, it sounds like not only is Nate Noel kind of your number one guy, or the number one guy coming out of fall competition, but he's got it so locked down that he's kind of taken some reps off and let some other guys figure it out, to the point where young Mr. Austin Dendy, he's came in as a safety and he's now playing running back, and he had like 80 yards in a scrimmage and a touchdown. Hurst, I did not enter fall camp with the question on running back depth, and yet here we are with a guy, freshman, stepping in and doing just fine when he was asked to. What am I supposed to think about this?
I have no idea. I mean, probably, if we're going to be honest, the chances that he sees the field as a running back or in any position this year are about 0.5%.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that it's incredibly impressive that a guy who comes in thinking he's going to play secondary and within a matter of 2 weeks of fall camp gets switched to running back, and not only gets switched to running back, but seems to be kind of the star of the scrimmage, at least from that position group. So he's clearly an incredible athlete, one way or another. I'm not sure. I mean, the running back room is, as you mentioned, incredibly deep. Not only do we have Nate Noel, he's locked down the first string job. Marcus Carroll, obviously, he didn't come here to sit on the bench. He's going to play. Mm-hmm. Then we've got a whole line of guys behind him that we're kind of waiting for them to get a chance. And your Jamal Roberts, your Tavoris Joneses, your Keywan Lacey's. So what, where is there a spot for Austin Dindy to fit in there? Now, if he wants to go ahead and beat out all three of those guys to be the third string running back as a true freshman,
sure,
more power to him. That sounds great. I'm a little dubious as to whether or not that's going to be the case this year. But why not? We've seen weirder things at the running back position play out and have success. So certainly weirder than an elite athlete coming in and picking it up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Cody Schrader comes to mind. Yeah, you don't need to be a blue chip running back to have success here. I think we've shown that, between Tyler Beatty and Cody Schrader, Curtis Looper's got the Midas touch, right? So we'll see. Just very odd. And like you said, Marcus Carroll's right there. Tavares Jones, third year, right here. Second year, right here. It's interesting. But Kawan Lacey has been sidelined with an injury. Okay. But you still got Jamal Roberts, and I guess Nate Noel's taking some time too. So sure, take the athletic guy, switch him over permanently to running back and see what he can do. I mean, it's weird. It's weird, man. I did not foresee depth issues at running back, and I wanted more bodies in the safeties, and yet here we are taking a safety and throwing him at running back. Again, famously not a football coach, don't get to see the practices, don't get to sit in on the meetings, don't get to do any of that. Just on the surface, it's a surprising move.
I'm not even sure if the move is because of the coach is worried about worried about depth at the running back position as much as they see a guy who they think could be the best player, maximize his abilities in one position versus another. And maybe they offered him and say, hey, you can play running back, you can play safety. Here's what we think you're going to do best at, but you get the choice. I know that's what Gary Kinkle always ran. You can play whatever position you want, but we're going to tell you what we think about how good you are at that position, and you'll play accordingly. So my guess is more of the fact that they think you've got this skill set, and we think you would be best, whether that's here or anywhere else at running back as opposed to safety. We'll see how it plays out. There's nothing that says he can't move back to safety either. Those are kind of the two of the positions that are probably easier to jump between if you're talking about offense to defense. So I don't see any reason why he couldn't switch it back too if there's a rash of injuries at the safety position, or he gets buried on 6 deep and running back and wants to try his hand somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean at 6'1", 200. He is the second heaviest running back on the roster currently behind Marcus Carroll. He's also the tallest running back on the roster and really the tallest running back in the Eli Drinkwitz era. So this is very much a different shape, a different size of running back than Eli Drinkwitz has previously deployed. Doesn't mean anything. Just he's probably one of the bigger guys to do it. And he's 18. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens. And yeah, I mean, it's college. If you are super athletic, you can make that flip. A lot of guys have experience playing both ways in high school, and sometimes Owen Marisette comes to mind, the Stanford fullback and linebacker from the mid-aughts. The UCLA linebacker who played running back for a couple of years when they got that rash of injuries, like early 2010s. It can happen. It's just interesting. That's all. Hey, let's not forget Chris Adams-Drain started as a receiver, flipped to corner. By the way, he's in the NFL right now. So, who am I to question this staff switching positions, right? Shut up, Nate. Moving on. Speaking of guys who got positions locked down, it sounds like Marcus Bryant, the SMU transfer, had a really good battle with JUCO transfer Javen Richardson at the left tackle spots. Sounds like he's got it locked down. How do you feel about that, Hurst? I know you're a big fan of him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I think the fact that there was a battle says way more about Javen Richardson than it does about Marcus Bryant, to be honest, and that's a good thing. Meaning it means that Javen Richardson showed up wanting to compete and put on a good show in doing that, which it does nothing but help depth for the line. If Mimbu or Bryant were to have to miss any time, I would feel pretty confident. And I'd imagine the coaching staff would feel pretty confident slotting Richardson in there to take their place. Now, that's never anything you want to do, but it's always nice to have a guy that can compete at a high level to do that. And Richardson's a JUCO transfer. He's got 2 years of eligibility. Marcus Bryant only has 1. So next year we're going to be looking for a left tackle again. or and a right tackle. Well, perhaps we'll see what happens with Mimbu.
Right.
I have a feeling that he might blow up this year, and this might be his last year that we have him in black and gold. In which case, we'll have an opening on the right side too. So it's great to have another guy that the coaches feel strongly about. But Marcus Bryant is really good, and he's going to be drafted in, if not the first day, probably not the first day. He'll be drafted on day 2 of the NFL draft. He's that level of a player. I feel pretty confident in saying so. I'm glad the coaches just didn't hand him the job and made him compete for it. I think that's going to be a benefit to everyone on the offensive line for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm glad that result happened. That means he came ready to play, and I'm also glad that we've got the depth.
I mean, the staff was talking last week, I think is what it was, how, Cannon Green came here. He was a guard at Oklahoma. He came here. He was, they're like, hey, let's give you a shot at left tackle. And apparently Green told him, he's like, hey, look, you put me where you need me to go. I want this team to be successful. Slot me where I'm going to be the best. And that's when they said, okay, well, let's go get another tackle. Let's go portal shopping, see who we can find. And that's when they brought in Bryant. So clearly they were okay with Green being a tackle, but knew that they could do a little bit better and then did it. And then, yeah, oh, by the way, to your point, Javen Richardson shows up and balls out for, the first half of fall camp, kind of unexpectedly. Not, obviously you recruit a guy because you think he's great, but you didn't realize he was going to be like that, especially coming from the JUCO ranks. So, I mean, I am also going to choose this to be a good thing where they thought Bryant was going to have it locked down and Richardson pleasantly surprised them. I'm not going to view this as Bryant was not as was advertised, because I think in that case they got several options they could go with other than just trotting out the graduate student for his sake. So this is a team that that's shooting for the playoff. They've all said it, or at least one person has said it, but they all seem to be pulling in that direction. So you are going to find the best and put him there. And if that's Marcus Bryant, that's great. And then, yeah, he's gone. And then Javen Richardson can plug and play. Offensive line, again, very, very small question for me, just because you're replacing the left side. And the left side was the best side last year. With going Bryant, Green, Tollison, I'm going left to right, Johnson, Cameron Johnson, Armand Mimbu, great offensive line or greatest offensive line? You tell me.
I would say it's a great offensive line. We don't yet know if it'll be the greatest offensive line. That still, I think, goes to the 2013 offensive line until dethroned. For no other fact than that 4 of those guys ended up playing in the NFL for a long, significant amount of time. I think actually 4 of them were in the significant amount of time. So it could get there, though. It could get there. And you're looking at a line that could see 4 guys be in the NFL in a couple of years as well, if not 5. If Tollison continues to develop, there's no reason that he couldn't in a couple of years get drafted and end up in the NFL as well. So I could easily see the other 4 guys playing for a long time at the next level. So it's there. They're poised to do great things. Haven't done it yet. We got to see it, but it's the talent is there. I would say it's the most talented offensive line that we've had. Sure. We'll see what the production is, but they definitely have the most talent. Yeah.
Tolson's a little light for an NFL offensive lineman, but he's got the smarts for it. Mimbu, yeah, let's hope he gets drafted this year, because that means great things for him. Cameron Johnson, Marcus Bryant, obviously you seem to be pretty high on them too, but yeah, we'll see. Again, this is a small question, and boy, it seems like they answered it with aplomb. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So congratulations on Marcus Bryant locking that down. And of course, if it doesn't work out, we got other options. Here's kind of the surprise fun story of fall camp. I have been worried about the secondary, specifically the corners, basically since I left the conference room with Eli Drinkwitz and holding that trophy. I'm like, oh my God, how do we get new corners that are as good as Chris Abrams-Drain and Ennis Rakestraw? Obviously, they brought in Toriano Pride. You had Marcus Clark on the roster. You had Drayden Norwood on the roster. So they answered the question. But lo and behold, we get a little guy named Nick DeLoach. Now, I don't know if you all remember this guy. I do because I'm a nutso weirdo. But Nick DeLoach is from Cahokia, Illinois. Kind of an afterthought in the 2023 class. 3-star, 6', 175. Did not see the field last year. And now he might be starting opposite Toriano Pride as Missouri's starting cornerback. How do you feel, Nathan Hurst?
It certainly is a surprise. I mean, if you had thrown all the names of the cornerbacks that are on the roster at me, and just said pick who you think's going to start day one, game one, he might have been my last pick, and that is solely because of a lack of information about the guy, short of what we knew about him coming out of high school, which even then was relatively little because he's Cahokia, Illinois. If you didn't know, is not a large town. He didn't play in a huge high school against other huge high school competition. It's not like he was taking on all the Chicago schools on a weekly basis. So we just didn't know a lot about this guy. He didn't play at all last year. But I guess he worked out a lot. He lifted some weights, and here he is. What really kind of, when I was hearing all the great things coming out of camp about him, really reminded me, if you want to harken back to, I think the year is 2018, different coaching staff, but we started to hear a lot of words out of camp about a guy we really didn't know a whole lot about, a little 3-star linebacker from Dallas, Texas, named Nick Bolton. We were kind of like, this guy? He was kind of an afterthought, and he's playing well. And then the next thing you know, Nick Bolton is Nick Bolton. And he's just one of those, almost a patented Gary Pinkel guy, where he kind of comes out of nowhere, spends a year or two on the bench, and all of a sudden, boom, he's ready to go, and he becomes a really good player. Now, we have the benefit of the fact that Nick DeLoach is a freshman. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, but if he's ready to start now as a redshirt freshman, I mean, the sky could be the limit for this kid. I'm choosing to take it as meaning that he is playing really well, and a couple of the other guys, like a Marcus Clark, a Toriano Pride, are also playing well, and he's beating them out. Because we know Dre Norwood's going to be there, and he's pretty dependable. But I'm choosing to believe, just kind of like I chose to believe that Marcus Bryant played well, and Javen Richardson just gave him a good fight because he played well too. Similarly here, we'll have to wait and see what it actually looks like on the field. But I want to believe that that all three of those guys, Clark and Pride and DeLoach, all are balling out, and DeLoach is just beating them out.
The X-Files. I want to believe. I don't care who starts. Really don't. I just want to make sure that you have 4 quality options. And I think last year we for sure had 3. And we got really lucky that Ennis Rakestraw's injury was not more devastating, that Drayden Norwood filled in admirably, and Marcus Clark, really didn't notice Marcus Clark when he was on the field, other than the 2 interceptions, which again, he's Missouri's leading returning interception getter. So just keep that in mind. Other than the picks, you did not really notice Marcus Clark at all, which is good for essentially your 4th corner. I just wanted to make sure that we have 4 quality options. And to your point, like I figured it'd be like Jamarian Wayne, or Cameron Keys kind of had his name pop up a couple times, but I'm good with the redshirt freshman from Cahokia, Illinois. That's great, man. And he spells it NIC, Nick. Very sleek. I like that. I feel like an NIC Nick is a big trash talker. I don't know for sure, but that's the impression that I get. And really, just I want to see him do it. You're 6', 175. You are the third tallest there. Shamar McNeil's still allegedly 6'3", which I don't know, but it's the length. That's what Eli Drinkwitz likes to put out there. Taller guys, long arms, clog up the passing lanes, and if you can stick with your guy, even better. So I'm really curious to see what this looks like. And again, the schedule lays it out where you have 4 games that you are heavily favored in, where you have an opportunity to really play with what you have and figure out what that looks like. So I expect to see Nick DeLoach in heavy rotation so that the words back up the actions. And, I'm really curious. But, okay, so what most shocking thing to you? Would it be that Drayden Norwood and Toriano Pride are our leading snap getters at the end? Is it Drayden Norwood and Nick DeLoach getting the most snaps at the end? Or is it Toriano Pride and Nick DeLoach? Which one of those would be the most surprising to you?
The last one would be the most surprising, just because I feel like Drayden Norwood is going to be a steady Eddie on that team. Now, is he a superstar? Maybe not, but I think the coaching staff trusts him at least until he proves otherwise. And so I think he's going to be on the field, barring injury. On one side most snaps, unless he needs to take a breather or not. So
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the biggest surprise to me. But if get the best guys on the field, if Pride, who probably has the most raw physical talent of all of them, can put it all together, get him on the field, by all means get him on the field. If DeLoach beats out Norwood, by all means get him on the field. They've got, as you said, 4 weeks to figure it out, and really a 5th week with the bye after the Vanderbilt game, to figure out who are their dependable guys. We can't talk enough about how well the schedule sets up to do that. Mm-hmm. On top of the fact that we miss a lot of the big dogs along the way anyway, but the fact that we get those 4 games really as trial balloons to figure out how they want to play this thing and really nail it down.
Yeah, I think for me the most surprising would be Toriano Pride and Nick DeLoach, because Drayden Norwood just got utilized so much last year, and again under Blake Baker instead of Corey Batoon. I don't know. That would be the most surprising. But again, you got to run at least 4 deep. And I'm assuming that the rise of Nick means that we are good. Well, we will find out. And kind of along the lines, again, freshman surprises, little baby surprises. These aren't true freshmen that we're going to talk about, but they're redshirt freshmen. A lot of chatter around the receivers. Now, we all know that this receiving room is probably one of the most talented, if not the most talented, from an athletic standpoint, the Missouri's ever had. It's got multiple 5-star guys, a ton of blue chips, nary a 3-star to be seen. At least a consensus one. Almost every guy is rated a 4 or 5-star at some kind of rating service, other than Daniel Blood. But again, Daniel Blood and Josh Manning, who were bit parts. Manning basically came in to just kind of run motion before a play, and Blood was in there for a couple of targets, couple catches, two catches on 4 targets, and apparently it's clicking in practice, or at least they're getting enough reps that the coach is going, oh, hey, look at that. We have too much talent, Nathan Hurst. I can't imagine. I can't believe I'm saying this about a Missouri team. There's too many talented guys on this team. I don't know how you get targets spread out to the point where you keep them happy and fed and developed. But between Luther and Theo and Mookie and Speedy and Mackay, and I don't know where the snaps come from. So what's the coaching staff to do here?
The coaching staff needs to get it in their heads every day when they wake up, when they eat lunch, when they go to bed. We have 3 seniors or 2 seniors and a first-round draft pick that are leaving after this year. Be patient, be patient, be patient. Your time is coming. Your time is coming, because those 3 guys are all going to be gone next year, and all of a sudden that's going to open up 300 catches or at least passes, opportunities to catch starting next year. So it's just preaching patience, preaching work hard, keep your head down. Your time will come. Mackay Miller is another guy that, he could start for 80% of SEC teams, and he's going to be at best the 4th receiver on the team. But he could be a major breakout star this year if he was given the opportunity. He just probably isn't going to really get the opportunity besides, 5 targets a game, just because of the guys that he's got in front of him. So, I think the guys, the Josh Mannings, the Daniel Bloods, they understand that. They see that. The James Madisons as well. Plenty of, we haven't even talked about, the true freshmen, a couple of guys coming in that are also 4 stars in their own right. Just patience, wait your turn. It will come. And, God forbid there are a couple injuries, just like the defensive edge position. we can, if there's any position on the team that could deal with a couple injuries, it would be this one. Now the guys that you'd be losing potentially are all-star caliber guys that you would never want to lose, but it could be worse.
Yeah. I mean, Eli Drinkwitz and Kirby Moore like to run a lot of 11 personnel. So there's typically a tight end on the field, and that tight end is Brett Norfleet. So you're not really seeing a ton of 5 wide. That would be the easiest way to, kind of maximize your snaps, but that's not really what this offense does. So yeah, patience. You'll get there. And guess what? On the recruiting trail, it's not a surprise. No one should be surprised that it's going to shake out the way that it does. And it's a coaching staff's responsibility to pump enough sunshine up someone's butt to get you on campus, but also then de-recruit them once they get here and say that, yeah, this is how we're going to do it. And to their credit, I don't think this staff is a bunch of used car salesmen. I don't think they pitch sunshine and rainbows. One of the big things, Zion Young, one of the transfers was talking about was that not only did they want to come here, but they really appreciated that the staff said what they were going to do and then went through and did the thing they were talking about. That can be tough. There's a lot of salesmen out there who are just willing to get you on campus and hope for it to work out. And it seems like this staff allegedly is keeping their promises and following through on what they're saying. So I have full belief that, what they said and the checks that are being cashed are enough to properly prepare these guys for it. But it's just, you also want to get them developed. You also want to get them on the field. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out.
And we've got 2 more studs coming in next year. Just to backfill with Alugbade, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's a good problem to have. These are problems that top 10 teams on a perennial basis have to deal with.
Yep.
And it's one that you want to have. You want to have this problem because it far exceeds having the other problem where you have 2 or 3 guys, which Mizzou has had recent years in the less than a decade ago, where they could not field a wide receiver room that could all catch the ball, let alone be stars. So count your blessings. It's a blessing, not a curse.
It is. So, I mean, we've been talking a lot about positions, and obviously, we at Rock M Nation have done a lot of work over this offseason to prepare you for the season. Team previews, position previews. We've had roundtables. We broke down positions. And, of course, we went and made a Dane magazine for you all, an online magazine in PDF, where you can have, 104 pages now of previewing the 2024 Missouri Fighting Football Tigers season. And, of course, Nathan Hurst and, 5 other of our closest friends put this thing together, spearheaded by Dan Keegan, the mastermind of this. It is out. It is beautiful. It is very pretty to read and look at and very informative. Hurst, how proud of you on a scale of 1 to 10 are you of this work?
I'm really proud of it. I mean, I think our intrepid producer and designer, Levi, did an incredible job designing the entire thing. It's actually 115 pages of your finest Mizzou football content. Incredible photos from Rock M's own Cal Tobias. It's great. It is turned out even better than I expected it to be when it was all said and done. It's digital. It's in your PDF. You can have it on your phone within 30 seconds. All you have to do, we'll drop the link in the YouTube page. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to it on the podcast, we'll put it in the description of the podcast. All you got to do, hit the link. If you're not a Rock M Plus subscriber, it's $15. It's $15 that I believe, and I think everyone that worked on it believes is well worth your money. If you are a Rock M Plus subscriber, you get a discount. It's only $10 if you're a monthly subscriber, and it's only $5 if you are a annual subscriber. So super cheap. When I talk about how in-depth this thing is, there are multiple paragraphs written about every single true freshman that's on the roster. So I'm sure you forgot about all the guys that signed way back last December. We went through and reminded you and wrote about every single one of those incoming freshmen that you maybe didn't even know we had on the team in the first place. Every single transfer has almost a full page written about them. to remind you about all the transfers that we brought in. There's 30 plus new members of this roster, and we outlined each one in detail. And talked about what to expect from them this season and beyond. Every single game that Mizzou plays this year, we've had full multi-page previews on those matchups, what to expect, what do those teams look like, where are they this year versus last year if Mizzou played them last year. Every position group, we outline depth charts, what do we think that's going to look like. The one that now looks a little different is the edge room. Unfortunately, we talked about that already, but you can just skip that little part and read the rest of that and every other position preview. This thing is chock full. It's well worth your time. You still got 2 full weeks to ingest it. It'll take you all 2 weeks to read it. It's that long, but I think you will be very glad that you did. So highly recommend it. Check it out in the link below.
Yeah, very good. And let's close it out with something silly, or perceived to be silly. Every time we get to right before football season, it seems like there's a little subcategory of troll that comes out and says something along the lines of fall weddings should be illegal, or don't ever go apple picking. It's a trap, or vacations in the fall. Don't you even think about it. Like just the nutso faux pro, like, I'm all about football, that I put my entire life on hold and do nothing but sit on my ass in front of the TV every Saturday and consume 18 hours of college football because that's what it means to be a real fan. I hate that. I hate it. Number one, I don't believe you, because I know people who have said that, and yet there they are sitting asking their girlfriend, how do you tie a Windsor tie, while they called Uber to go to the ceremony. So like, shut up. I don't believe you. If this is just an online persona just for laughs, okay. But I really don't believe, I think there's some people who actually think it, especially when you have someone like a Josh Pate who goes on to his radio show and tells everybody how he thinks fall weddings are trash and you shouldn't go to them. I don't know, Hurst. Am I just old? What are your thoughts on this?
My thought. So I have a couple thoughts. First, in my maturity and my old age, I've kind of landed on the mantra of you do you and I'll do me. And if you want to not do the fall weddings, don't do the fall weddings. If you want to have a fall wedding, have a fall wedding. The people that you want to be there will hopefully come. And if they don't, then maybe you really didn't want them to be there in the first place. I will say, I will admit, in my younger years, I probably skewed more on the side of refusal to do anything on fall besides watch football. I talked a big game about how I would never go to a fall wedding. Did I follow through with that with my own wedding? I guess ours was in the summer, but I have certainly attended plenty of fall weddings since then. I've softened the stance. I've actually attended a couple weddings that were in the middle of a Mizzou game, and now whether or not I happen to have the game on my phone, in the pew below, I'm not going to admit that. But I've softened my stance considerably on fall weddings. Really, it comes in my ultimate opinion is if you want to do it, go for it. I'm not going to tell you that you're a bad fan if you go to the apple orchard or if you have a fall wedding at the same time as a Mizzou fan. That is your prerogative, and you are welcome to it. If you don't want to go to a fall wedding, don't go to a fall wedding, but also don't expect to be invited to the next fun thing going on or the next wedding. If all your other friends that are at that wedding notice that you're noticeably absent, that there are consequences for your actions as well. So, you do you, I'll do me. I'm going to be attending plenty more fall weddings in the future, and it is what it is. Now I have managed to avoid the pumpkin patch so far on a Saturday morning. That's not to say I'll be able to avoid it entirely, but I've managed to avoid it so far.
Look, man,
maybe we'll do the pumpkin patch on a Friday morning. We'll take the Friday off and go on the Friday morning.
Here's the thing. You and I went to a fall wedding last year. It was beautiful. Yeah. Fall weddings kick ass.
It was fun. I got to miss
the best season.
Was that last year or two? Oh yeah. Oh no. We got to miss the Kentucky game.
Yep.
Which I watched immediately after getting home at midnight that night,
Yeah.
and it made my evening even better than it already was because that was a great game.
Yeah.
And had we lost that game, I would have missed it and been way more mentally healthy because of it.
Yeah. Like it's when people say you're a bad fan for taking your kids to the pumpkin patch or, to a wedding. That's what really gets me.
For sure.
And look, we live in unprecedented times. I understand that it's nearly impossible to avoid spoilers if you're not watching it live. I get that. I understand that part of the fun is social media-ing your way through the hard times of a game that's in question. I understand that. We also live in unprecedented times where not only can you watch any game you want at any time, you can do that in your hand. You can do it. One of the more fun aspects of it was Travis's wedding, so it was a couple of years ago. One of the more fun aspects of that was that we were watching Mizzou get his ass handed to it by Texas A&M while we were waiting for the bridesmaids to get down. And that's a moment. It's a game that I would not have remembered at all in my life, but I do remember because we were laughing at how bad Mizzou looked at a very joyous time in Tuxes where a very special thing was going to happen literally hours later. Like, that's unique. That's fun. Crowding around a phone or a TV in between, during the cocktail hour or whatever, that's part of the fun. Don't tell me that not supporting my friend is the only way that I can be a good fan. Okay? The Vanderbilt game is not going to help me move. Okay? Right? What Missouri does against Oklahoma this year is not going to go for drinks out with me to, reminisce about what we did and kick back and have a good couple hours away from life. It's not going to do that, okay? Don't ruin your friendships for Murray State. Don't tank a potential long-term relationship for Kentucky, okay? That's what I'm saying. And if you do want to do that, that's fine. This goes back to communication, right? Hurst, you and I talk about this all the time. If it is important, talk about it. Tell them that this is a very important thing. No, can we I don't want to go to the pumpkin patch now. Can we do it at a different time? Okay. Plan ahead, communicate what you want, and then do a little back and forth so everybody gets what they want. That's the key. Okay. It's not a big deal. You don't need to watch Wake Forest lose to Clemson. I promise you, it's not going to make a lasting impact on your life. Mizzou games are obviously important. Communicate that, make that be known. Everybody do what you want to do, but I'm going to live my life. I can't tell you how many games I watched while walking a baby and just looking at my phone, or watching on DVR and skipping all the crap until I get to the good part. That's actually kind of nice. It's okay. Do not get up in arms about fall weddings because they're awesome. They're awesome. Also, core memories are important. Pumpkin patches are fun. So there's my little soapbox. I can't wait to hear how wrong I am about this, but I am right. Did we miss anything? I think we got everything here.
Team captains were named. One thing that, that they announced, I believe it was Tuesday of this week. We've got Brady Cook, which is probably the least surprising, and this is his third year in a row as team captain. Also on the offense is Theo Weiss, senior leader wide receiver. Then the defense, we've got Chuck Hicks, which I found interesting, but good. I think that's good. You have a linebacker, senior linebacker, been in the program now for at least 3 years, if not 4.
3, yeah.
At least 3, if not 4 years. So he's been around for a while. And then we got, I believe, Christian Williams.
Oh my God, it's his 4th year. I forgot he's like a super senior. Yeah, Chuck Hicks has been like 4 years.
He has like a couple of medical red shirts, and I think he missed 2 different full years with medical issues.
Yep.
And then I believe, if I'm remembering correctly,
Christian Williams.
Yep. And I think there's a 5th one as well, but I'm not remembering who that might be.
Is it a safety?
Off the top of my head, it could be Joseph Charleston.
I would be shocked, but I also like him. It's
I get talking here.
Chuck Hicks, Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker Jr. That is it. That's the one. So we have 3 defensive players, 2 offensive players. Johnny Walker Jr., Chuck Hicks, Christian Williams. All those guys make plenty of sense, especially from what we've heard about Johnny Walker being a vocal leader in the offseason. than Brady Cook and Theo Weiss on the offense. So those guys are ready to go. And I think that's all the big news so far. We'll knock on wood. I would like there to be no more news until the season starts.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. But if there is, we will cover it because that's what we do. We're here to tell you everything that's going on and talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. But that's going to be the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. Leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Nate G. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hearst. Of course, you can follow the Rockin' Flagship at Rockin' Nation and our podcast and outlet at Rockin' Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, M-I-Z.
Z-O-U.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. We'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.